All right, let's go to our next game of this week. Down in South Florida, Miami Gardens, the 9-1 Louisville Cardinals. They're 6-1 in the ACC. They're traveling to Miami. The Hurricanes. At one point, they were a tropical storm. They've fizzled out. They've regained strength. They played Florida State pretty tough last week. They're 6-4 in the year, 2-4 in the conference, though. That's really what hurts them. Louisville is a 1-point favorite in this game. Over under is set at 46.5. That's interesting. They're fresh. What you got for Miami, Louisville? First time for us talking about Louisville.
I think both teams have had a lot of exciting moments. Louisville obviously been able to win those games, and Miami has been able to had a lot of crazy wins and a lot of disappointing losses. It's been a weird season for the Hurricanes. Last week, Miami actually gave FSU a pretty good fight. It's 27-20. They were battling. They gave Florida State everything they could handle in that football game. Florida State never ran away and hid. They were around the entire ball game, sort of made them fight, made them earn it, which is kind of what you want to see from a rivalry. How do they back that up this week? Because we've seen them put up decent efforts and then have complete just lay an egg. And in Louisville, they almost got caught by Virginia. They had a storm back. They had a back and forth game on as it went down, but they were able to survive the Who's. Maybe that was a wake up call. They kind of like they were going to say we'll go through it, and then before they knew it, they were in a ball game. They were able to turn it on late and get it done. I think Miami's much better than Virginia. They're going to have to play much better this week. The end is right there. They can see the light at the end of the tunnel. If they win this one, obviously it secures themselves a spot to play Florida State for the ACC title and keep their dreams alive for a potential New Year's Six Bowl. If they win this ball game and beat Kentucky and maybe even beat Florida State, it puts them in a great spot. But you got to take care of business today, this week versus Miami, for those things in the future to really come into play. The Hurricanes are allowing 312 total yards a game, which is third in the ACC, following Louisville. So these two teams play pretty good defense, and they have been very, very opportunistic all season long. But Miami is allowing 226 yards passing game, which that's 11th in the ACC. They can be thrown on. The secondary's had some issues. They haven't got the pass rush. Their run defense has been pretty solid. The pass defense is terrible. When it comes to run defense, the Hurricanes and the Cardinals are 1 and 2 in run defense, allowing 86 and 91 total rushing yards a game, respectively. So ground games are very, very difficult. Air attack, get after the Hurricane secondary. They're not getting it locked down, which is it's still, looking back in the annals of history and the Hurricanes and the defensive secondary, the defense in general, and then hearing that they have, coverage issues. They're not very good on the back end. It just doesn't seem right. All the athletes down there, you should be able to load up and get some guys who can figure it out. They're still lacking in that department right now for the Hurricanes. And that's something that might come back to hurt them on Saturday versus Jack Plummer and the Cardinal passing attack. The Cardinals, though, I think to get the balance on that offense and really open up what they do to open up their passing game, if they rely on that running game a little bit, Jahar Jordan, to provide a little balance. 141 carries, 976 yards rushing, 11 touchdowns. He's averaging 6.9 yards a carry. So that balance of a running game with the passing game they've been able to bring there to Louisville has created a pretty solid attack across the board, and they've seen tremendous success. It's actually been able to carry them throughout the entire year. Both these quarterbacks have been up and down. They're almost identical, actually, when you look at stats. Jake Plummer, 173 for 264, 2,400 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, 9 picks. Tyler Van Dyke, 2,000 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Neither of these guys really keep the football and they protect it. They make a lot of they play heavy-hearted. They throw the ball around. They're willing to push the envelope a little bit, but they are going to make some mistakes and things are going to happen. Which secondary is going to be able to take advantage of these inopportune throws or bad reads or gunslinger mentality that comes into play on Saturday afternoon? They're going to put a couple up there. Which one's going to come down with the football and cause the turnovers and really turn the tide in the football game? That's going to be the big thing I'm going to watch. Which secondary wants to step up and make a play? Because these quarterbacks will give you the football if you're there and ready and prepare yourself for that situation. Hurricanes are at home in this ball game. They're 5-1. They should actually be undefeated if it wasn't for that meltdown versus Georgia Tech. And at home, they've won with an average score of 35.2 to 18.7. So they're dominating opponents at home. That includes Clemson, and that they've been able to win football games and win them convincingly. Texas A&M, another one, in Miami. And it's not because of a home field advantage, because the crowd, obviously, for the Hurricanes is never anything stellar. It hasn't been that way since the 90s when they played in the old Orange Bowl. They show up for one game a year, and that's usually Florida State. Maybe I should say every other year when Florida State comes to town. So can the Hurricane fans show up in this football game, create an environment at noon, give the Hurricane football team, especially the defense, a little extra boost? It's the final home game of the year. You have a chance of really pulling off a big upset, getting yourself a better bowl game. Build this program, because if you're a recruit, NIL only goes so far. If you know one show up in the stands to support you, and especially in a big game late in the year when you have a chance to pull off an upset, does it really give me an incentive to want to go play for your program? This isn't the old Miami football teams where they actually dominated and drew people there because they were the only game in town. Now they're one of many, and they're not actually blowing people out. They're not playing that swagger. So it's tough to get people to the stadium. If you come out here and beat Louisville and maybe draw some attention, build some of that momentum, but you need that. And this should be a statement football game. At times you played real well, and at times you've kind of just lost your luster. Take advantage of being at home and go get it done. Mario Cristobal, when are you going to put this and get that monumental win? The A&M win actually looks a little worse now because the team is falling apart. Can you go down here and beat Louisville? You haven't beat Florida State. You have a chance to beat Louisville. Maybe make up for some of it and give yourself a little springboard to go forward. Louisville, Coach Brom, the whole staff, be mindful of what you're at. You have a lot in front of you. Do not overlook the Hurricanes. Do not get caught up in the moment. You have to get this win, because honestly, if you lose this game and still go to the ACC title game, it's just going to really be a wash, and Florida State's going to stop you. Keep yourselves focused, because you still have a New Year's Six potential at-large bid in scope by winning out the rest of the season. And then maybe even if you lost in the ACC title game, you still have a solid season. Stay focused. That's what good veteran football teams do. It might not be ugly, but if you win, that's all you have to do in this football game. In the end, I just have a hunch. Hurricanes are at home. I'm going to take the Miami Hurricanes to pull off the upset. I'm going to take them in a 31-21 win by 10. They jump on them early, get a big lead, and they hold on late. But the Hurricanes pull off the upset. I just have a feeling the way they play at home, they're coming with a little different. It's going to be a little warm, a little humid, sticky down there. It's a noon kick. Crazy things happen at noon. Louisville gets knocked off. Hurricanes finally get a big-time win under Cristobal and start building something for 2024.
Fresh Van Dyke got knocked out of that Florida State game, or pulled, or again, we're looking at it. Emory Williams came in, and if you take a look, like the kid playing off the bench and being the backup this year, he only completed 8 passes. The guy couldn't really hit water if he's standing next to the ocean. I mean, he had a couple of touchdown passes. I need to see a better, if he's going to be the starter, if Van Dyke's going to be out for this game, I need to see more out of Williams here. Miami's got a great defense. That defense is going to be even tougher at home. You hit all of the main facts that I kind of had in my notes for this game, so I'm not just going to repeat you and like regurgitate just what you said there. But Miami is clearly a different football team at home than they are on the road. Cristobal's got to coach better, because if he doesn't, if he needs to get at least this win. He's got Boston College. The guy go up to BC next weekend. This has got to be it as a win and show like we are really building something here in Miami, or that seat's going to start getting kind of on the warm side. I don't necessarily want to say he's going to be on the hot seat. Louisville, I don't think any of us saw this coming. You take a look at what Plummer's done this season. What you take a look at, we kind of knew that they would have a decent receiving game with Thrash over there. You talk about like a one-man wide receiving crew earlier, and Thrash has been it. Although not to the same level, he's kind of had a roller coaster of a ride of a season this year. He had a nice stretch there early in the middle where he was almost just dominant, and then he'll go to a game where he'll just kind of drop off, and he won't have like a big matchup. You take a look at what he did against UVA, 3 catches, 22 yards. And then you go back to what he did in the Notre Dame one, 8 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown there. So he needs to show up and be the big-time receiver. Plummer's got to get him the football. He's the leading receiver. He's got to be the man over there. But again, this is going to be a defensive game. I think this is going to be very, very low scoring. Over-under is set 46.5. I think that's a perfect number. I don't know if that's going to come in, or I kind of would say maybe take the over in that. But again, I'm right at that 46 mark, 47 mark. That's kind of right where I'd have it in at. I'll go Miami as well. I'll say Miami at home. People are going to look at this and go, "Oh my, what an upset!" It's just a different Hurricanes team in Coral Gables compared to when they have to travel outside of the state of Florida. Uh, Louisville, great year out of them though. Great first year with Brahm over there. Hats off to them. They're building something special there. I hope he can continue to get the recruits and build that because that could be a fun program to watch next year.
Yeah, I mean, great call on the Williamsville part because the injuries right now, it's quarterbacks. Are they healthy? Or they want to hold them out? We saw at NC State where a certain quarterback got dinged up. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to redshirt next year. Who knows who's playing for the Hurricanes? I just think the whole team has a better swagger there at home too.
Right.
But if Louisville gets this win, it puts them in a great spot, I think, to have an at-large bid in the New Year's Six, win or loss to Florida State in the ACC title. That just puts
Right.
them in the top that ranking position. So it's a big game for them right here to really supplant themselves as a legit program going forward in the conference.
Yeah, North Carolina is going to be heavy Miami fans in this game because that would bring it to a tiebreaker. And I'm not sure if what the tiebreaker would be between Louisville and North Carolina.
Well, I mean, Carolina still would have to play NC State next week, so they have still some tough road to hoe to get themselves into over that threshold.
Yeah, and again, I'd be interested to see what the ACC tiebreakers are to play Florida State. But either one of these teams would be a good matchup for Florida State.
Yeah.